This morning, the FBI warning of an increase in cyber attacks as more companies have been hit with ransomware. The latest advisory centered around Conti ransomware that specifically targeted hospitals, 911 dispatch centers, and law enforcement agencies. Cybersecurity expert and attorney Leeza Garber joins us right now with the latest developments and also how you can protect yourself at home. Leeza, good morning.
Good morning, Jan. Great to see you.
You as well. Haven't seen you in a while. We want you to break this down for us. Ireland has yet to recover from an attack in mid-May that prompted the shutdown of the entire information technology network of the nation's healthcare system. This is so scary. How has Conti ransomware successfully attacked 400 organizations, not just abroad, but here at home as well?
Certainly, Conti ransomware, just for some background, is ransomware as a service, meaning it's a commodity. Anybody with a little bit of technical know-how can buy it and deploy it. And Conti is called double extortion ransomware, meaning that it not only encrypts your system so that you can't access it without that decryption code, but it also steals your data so that the perpetrator can blackmail you. It's really a double whammy. It's really problematic. As you mentioned, it's hit 400 organizations over the world, and we don't know exactly who the perpetrators are because anybody can really buy it. The problem with Conti right now is that there's no magic button to try to stop it. There's nothing you can buy. There's no real clear proactive measure except getting back to basics, which means having great passwords, multi-factor authentication, and patching your systems.
Gosh, this is so scary. That's not the only group we have to worry about either, because a lot of these groups are getting really sophisticated. They're going after targets you might not think about. I read about this Iowa-based grain co-op that was attacked by a new ransomware group, and this is a farming service provider. The group currently demanding almost $6 million to unlock the organization's data there. Now, this organization transports grain to livestock and poultry farms, so it is very important. A lot of these places rely on, a lot of these farms rely on this particular company here. Tell me more about this attack and what people in the Midwest and some of these other companies need to know to protect themselves.
Jan, you've hit on one of the most serious problems with ransomware, which is the attacks keep getting more and more sophisticated. And while we think of many of these groups hitting critical infrastructure like energy and defense and government and universities, hospitals, hitting a grain co-op at this point right before harvest is very critical. And the problem is not only having to pay $6 million if they choose that option, and then trying to get back online. And as we know, there are these operations, this operations tech, which helps these critical infrastructure pieces run, just like with Colonial Pipeline, which took some time to get back up a few months ago.
So do these places look for patterns or perhaps motives to pinpoint who's at the center of the attack? What is the government using to track down these ransomware attacks?
When we look at the recent Iowa co-op farm attack that was run by Black Matter, which again is a likely Russian-based group, and we see it kind of an evolution from the groups that we've seen in the past that have disappeared, like R-Evil. And there are other groups that have kind of dissipated on the dark net, but then they reform into a new group that's a bit more sophisticated. So the government really looks at the code that's running in these ransomware attacks to find clues and similarities. And then it's also about the public-private knowledge sharing, because these groups not only hit critical infrastructure that's run by the government, but they also hit critical infrastructure that's privately owned. And it's important for this kind of knowledge sharing. And when we look at what the government's doing as well, the Biden administration recently sanctioned a cryptocurrency exchange, because that's how these criminals collect their ransom, right? Through cryptocurrency, whether that's Bitcoin or something else. And the Biden administration recently found that one of the large cryptocurrency exchanges, 40% of their transactions were related to illicit activities, i.e., ransomware. So it's problematic. We're not sure if that's the best way to go about it, but right now the patterns just show ransomware is hugely increasing. There's a ransomware attack every 10 seconds against a business in the world. So we're trying to figure out the best way to combat this.
And as you said, right now, change your password, make it long, don't make it easy. Leeza, thanks for joining us this morning. Hope you have a great weekend.
You too.